Going back to the viewport, let's talk about all these things we have around our screen. So right here, to the upper right corner, we can see the ZYX blue, green, and red axis. You could think of this like a compass for your 3D world. And as you can see, as I move the viewport around, this is rotating with my movement as well. That's because this is the grid orientation. Right here, where it has the X, this is X positive, and and right here where it has the red X is X negative. So if we move this here, you can see we move it forward, it's 6 meters ahead. If we move it back, it is now negative 7 meters behind. So it's important to know how to use these things. If you press G, Z, you can start moving your object and lock it to one axis. So by pressing G, Z, you're locking it to the Z axis or Z. And now you can only move it in that direction. And then you can move G, Y and move it along the Y axis. Or G, X and move it along the G axis. If you just press G, you can move it along all axes at the same time. You can also use these gizmos to move them as well. I don't recommend using the transform tool. Use any of these, but not this one. You can also do the same with the R key rotates the selected object. So you can RY rotate along that axis. RZ rotate along the Z axis. RX rotate along the X axis. We can just zero this out again. A quicker way to do this would to clear out the transforms is that you can just, let's see, oh, I have it right there. But you can just go Alt G and it'll reset it to its location. And then Alt R and it'll reset it there. You can also select multiple objects by shift click and select those objects. Now let's get back to these gizmos. So here is the zoom in and zoom out. It's a little magnifying glass you have up here in the corner. And then the next one we have is this, the move the view. It's a little hand, and then you can pan the camera. Another thing you can do to control the viewport is that you middle click and you can rotate your view. But then if you shift middle click, you can do the same thing that the little hand does. To do the same thing that the magnifying glass does, you can just scroll the wheel down, like if you're scrolling down a web page. And this is the camera view. So you can just click on this and it puts you on the current camera. Or you can, as it says here, press numpad 0 if you have a numpad on your keyboard. I do recommend getting a number pad for if you want to model in Blender, because it really speeds things up. You can also press the period on your number pad to focus on an object. So this will center the object that you have selected, and you will now rotate along that object until you pan, and that is where you rotate now. But then numpad period, and there. And finally, this last icon is to turn off your perspective, turn into orthographic view. So when we go into these views up here using this gizmo, that is an orthographic view. There's no perspective. But when we go here, there is perspective. See? Just like give you guys a better look. at the perspective of this, just a lighting. So we can see shape and form here. But if we click on this, all of a sudden we have a flat 2D image in our 3D environment. This is really cool if you want to do like some really weird looking isometric art pieces or optical illusions. It's very nice. And you can just go numpad 5 to switch between it or click here. It's a completely different image. Going back to the camera thing, one thing I forgot to mention is that if you have multiple cameras, this is just put you at a regular camera. Clicking this twice will just put you back to the view that you were at before. So let's say we had two cameras with two different views. You know, now when we press this, it'll take us to the first camera that's active. And that is because this is the active camera. We have to activate this one if we want to get into it. So right here in the outliner, see how they have these little pictures right on it? This one is the active actor because this has like a little box on it. So when you click on this, it makes it the active camera and you just snap to that view.